has taken over. Let's go. It's Pharrell. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Pharrell, coast to coast. So I was just saying to Carver High, we're going to know tonight basically who's in, and then these title games are this weekend, and then Sunday we're going to know definitively who's in the playoff, and we're also going to know, I would think, by Monday who's playing in all these other bowl games, because there's going to be some other bowl games that are pretty decent. I mean, there's a lot of crappy ones. There's no doubt about that. There's too many bowl games, but some of them are going to be decent. We were talking with Morency about it earlier. Like, who's Michigan playing? LSU, Missouri? Is it Florida? I mean, there's going to be some games. So, maybe next week we'll dedicate that extra hour on Tuesday when we're doing 3 to 7. We could do a full Monty on the postseason, the playoffs, and all the bowl games, particularly the good ones. And so tonight we're going to find out a lot, right? This last poll before the Sunday final poll that dedicates the entire 12-team field with decisiveness. It'll be those 12. That'll be it. There'll be no more of this after Sunday.
Yes. So tonight really is the penultimate. And really, there's still a lot that could change in terms of seeding and movement off of what happens this weekend. I think that who's going to be in, the picture will be kind of clear after tonight, aside from those couple play-in games that you have this weekend. But I think there's obviously some ups and downs that can happen. If Penn State beats Oregon, if Texas, the winner of the Texas-Georgia game. So you're going to get that movement. As far as all the other bowl games go, they'll announce every other bowl game. Those will all fall in line after the 12-team playoff is solidified. So once they know who's not in the playoff, everything else, it's all slotted kind of right after that. And they've already announced a couple of games. I did see that San Jose State's playing USF in the Hawaii Bowl. So there's a couple of the smaller bowls that they've already started to say who's going to be involved. New Year's Eve, where else would you rather be but with the Spartans and the Bulls out there on the Big Island? Christmas Eve to watch that. So that's what you have coming your way with all the bowl games this week. People there
won't even go to that game.
People there will not go to that game. I don't disagree with you on that. And South Alabama and Western Michigan will play in the Salute to Veterans Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama on December the 14th.
I did more for
at 9
saluting
p.m.
the veterans on Veterans Day with the show I did on Staubach and Tillman than they will do
correct.
with that absolute abortion of a football game that they're playing there.
So tonight you'll get the rankings, and then Sunday they will be solidified. Everybody excited to see.
What a terrible game you just told me. South Alabama and Western Michigan. Who came up with that? Like, a guy sat around. He goes, you know what we're going to do? Let's just think about this for a second. Let's get South Alabama on the phone. And you know what? Who would be diverse enough to meet them in a game? How about Western Michigan from the MAC? And then some of the room went, brilliant. And then they went with
That's
it.
what we need. We need to get,
Honestly,
exactly.
I'd rather watch Don Bosco play Bergen Catholic.
Here is
Bergen
for
won
you,
the game, by the way. They won the state championship.
Oh, there you go. Oregon is the favorite right now to win the whole thing. That with Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas both right behind him at plus 450. Notre Dame 9-1. Penn State 10-1. Alabama 22-1. Alabama 22-1. Still on the board. Miami 250-1 if they sneak in. They're at the bottom. They're still giving you a nod on Miami. Win the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I said it yesterday. And I have just the weirdest feeling that I think Notre Dame has a shot in this thing. It sets up perfectly. It's almost like the Yankees against the AL Central to get to the World Series. It sets up perfectly for Notre Dame to be successful in this playoff when they get to play at Notre Dame Stadium. and they have a
Right.
defense, and they're good, and they score, and I don't believe that Oregon is everything everyone else thinks they are. I think they played two good games, two big games all year, and I guess like everybody else, 2 or 3 big games constitutes a great season. I think they're beatable. I do believe they are beatable. In fact, like I don't think Penn State can beat them this week because they don't beat top 5 teams ever. So let's see them do it. But I think someone can beat them in the college football playoff. I do not believe they'll win the national championship. I, in fact, just said it. I think Notre Dame has a better chance than Oregon.
Well, also, a lot's going to be determined by where these teams are, right? So if you're the 5, which Notre Dame could be because they're going to be the highest ranked team potentially that isn't going to get a bye because Notre Dame can't get a bye because they don't play a conference championship game.
Right.
That 5 is going to play the 12. And the 12 is going to be either Boise, UNLV, Arizona State, Iowa State. Notre Dame's got to beat whoever that is in their house.
Oh, and they will.
And then because they're the 5, they're going to play the 4 in the quarters, which is the lowest rank, which means that's the other of Boise State, Iowa State, Arizona State. There's a path if Notre Dame's the 5 that they can win a couple games and get themselves to the semis. And they'd be favored in both of those games, obviously, to go and do that if possible. So seeing where Notre Dame is tonight is very key in terms of where they're going to be slotted in those rankings.
I know they're not as good as they've been, but Georgia is still, to me, house money.
Yeah.
They won in 8 overtimes over Georgia Tech. They had no business winning that game. They went to Texas and beat the snot out of the overranked Longhorns. There's another team that's not winning the national championship. Ranked 2nd. They got all this juice. They don't know who their quarterback is. They keep starting a guy that's not as good as the guy standing on the sideline. At some point, that's going to bite Steve Sarkisian right in his ass. That's just all there is to it. I mean, and they'll rue the day that they didn't play the kid. So they're not winning either. They can't beat Georgia. So the team I'd be worried about playing if I were you would be the Georgia Bulldogs with that Kirby Smart and all that talent. And, I'm sure Ohio State's going to be in the mix because, it's got to be, right? They always end up playing for national championships and in the big games. They can't beat Michigan, but they'll be playing in a big game in that playoff. Count on that. To me, remember, they were favored a week ago. Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, those are the 3 teams I wouldn't want to play.
But that's also about tonight, who will be ahead, Notre Dame or Ohio State? Because neither of them are going to play this week.
It's got to be Notre Dame.
So they're not going to have another game to potentially win or lose to move them around. And whoever's ahead of the other is going to get that potentially cushy 5 seed with those favorable matchups. So I'm interested to see how far down they put Ohio State after, and they should put them down after losing. And we talked about this enough yesterday. They should be further down after losing to Michigan, but we'll see where those suits put them.
Everybody else tumbles like a tumbleweed, and Ohio State, nothing happens to them. I mean, it is so.
Nothing.
They are so biased, this crab and lobster committee, about 2 teams, and it's not even funny. It's Ohio State and Alabama.
Yes.
They couldn't run their operation if they didn't have those teams in the playoffs. In fact, I would believe, and I mean this, that Alabama could lose 4 games and they'd still have an hour and a half discussion on how do they get them in and screw somebody else. Alabama always has to be in the picture or there's no business at the NCAA. They have no business. They can't make any money. They got to have Ohio State and Alabama in no matter what, at any cost to anyone else. They will screw anyone. You're going to see. Watch. I will keel over if Alabama isn't in this thing. They're going to find a way to screw somebody and put them in there. Because they're
going to be there. They're going to be there.
it's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on Sports Grid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on Sports Grid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
You listen to yourself speak. That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would have
do.
won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing,
correct.
No.
The
Stop.
only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line. Only on Sports Grid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on Sports Grid.
Just so we don't forget, Carver High, next Monday, they are having a Simpsons Monday Night Football broadcast. They do the periodic slime games, as you know.
Whatever.
On Nickelodeon. Now they are having a Simpsons Monday Night Football broadcast, which I deem better than the Manning telecast that they do, that everyone thinks is so funny. And, don't get me started on what's funny, okay? And then the Monday night broadcast itself, I may literally switch to The Simpsons. I have, 35 years of The Simpsons with massive success and just continuous funny stuff that has always hit home. And I'll tell you what, Monday Night Football has been a disaster forever. It really has. Since Howard Cosell, it's been a disaster. I don't care what anybody says. And that Manning cast, you can have that. You know what they should do? They should put Mara in there one night and let him talk about what he's going to do to turn the Giants around instead of these two comedians cracking jokes that aren't funny. I told you, I never thought Eli was funny. People think he's funny. I think he's a garage door funny, okay? I interviewed that guy. I almost passed out interviewing him. Like, I was like, oh, my God, dude. Oh, my God, are you boring? Honestly, Matt Mafia was there. I literally almost tipped over into the guy. He was so blind. I was like, don't tell me he's funny. I'm sorry. I'm not funny, okay? I don't try to be funny. And I hate people that they try to make funny. I think they're doing the same thing now to this Jason Kelsey guy. They think that he's funny, too. He's a comedian, too. I have seen it all. I really have. I love just sitting back and watching these disasters unfold one after the next. And you can quote me on that. Tell them all I said so.
I didn't even know that The Simpsons were still on. I didn't know that was still a thing.
You missed out on all that hilarity. I still find those cartoon shows funny. I've watched some of them, The Family Guy, The Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, and South Park has always been kick-ass, and everything else for that matter, rated X. It is just absolutely, they take no prisoners there. and race is not an issue because they hate everyone equally. It is just fantastic, and it's raunchy, dirty, homophobic, racist, you name it. That show has it all. They should do a Thursday night telecast with that. South Park, see how that goes over. Maybe they should do a Super Bowl broadcast with them, see how that goes over with all the woke people in this country.
To the NBA now, as we go, we have big NBA Cup games tonight. Before I get there,
the NBA.
The Lakers lose in Minnesota last night, 109-80. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games. And LeBron had a very tough night, 4 of 16 from the field, only 10 points. In fact, he hasn't made a 3 in his last 4 games. He's 0 for 19 from downtown. Of course, he wanted to play all 82 games this year in his 22nd year in the league, but it seems like he's running out of gas a little bit. Let's find out what J.J. Redick thinks about that.
Is that sustainable? Is that a sustainable goal in your estimation?
That's a no.
I think
that's a no.
We are measuring.
He can't even answer it because he's afraid of LeBron James.
We can tell if a guy's running hot or whatever. He does a remarkable job of taking care of his body and getting recovery. I don't know. I don't know that's in the best interest of him and us if he does that. But if he's feeling well and feeling good, then he should play. But we obviously want to manage that as best we can.
Oh, that was really pathetic. That answer was so pathetic. Here's the deal. Last night, I watched that game. Now, I hit 2 of the games. I lost 2 of the games. That was one of the games I lost. I took a flyer on the Lakers. They got their ass beat. And you know why? Because LeBron James was shooting bricks. He shot a 3 that hit the left corner of the glass backboard. He missed the rim. He literally shot an air ball so left, it looked like your boy Pinero for the Bears shanking that overtime field goal in the playoffs. He literally shot the ball and it hit the left corner of the glass. And the announcer's like, oh, God, damn, left, look. When they tee off the PGA Championship, the guy goes left. He left with his club. And everybody on the side of the left fairway starts ducking, looking for that ball to crank him in the head. LeBron's shooting bricks. And it, in my opinion, has nothing to do with his $1 million he spends on his body in the offseason and his recovery after games and his starting 5 shows he does or all the records he's broken. He's just shooting bricks. Like sometimes guys go cold shooting in the NBA. The basketball is a game of streaks, and it's a game of shooting. Who can knock down shots wins games. It's that simple. He's not shooting well right now. Stop shooting. He's a great passer. He's an incredible facilitator. Start doing that. When you're not hitting, stop shooting. Or, as they say in the south of France, go to the 10. There's no one that can stop him at 6'8", 260. He dunks at will on anyone he wants. He shoots layups at will on anyone he wants. No one can stop him. He's just got to drive. But what he's become at his ripe age, he's shooting 30-footers. He's just pulling up from 30. Yeah. He's like, screw it. And that's just bad basketball.
And you could tell, Jay, he was just trying to tiptoe and dance there. He doesn't want to say what the real truth is, which is what you just said. He just don't want to say it. Don't want to say the real truth. Celtics beat the Heat 108-89. The Hawks beat the Pelicans 124-112. Bulls beat the Nets 128-102. So there you go with Ice Tray. Giannis has been – actually, I'll put all these with their games tonight. I'll give you the Giannis numbers. Orlando and Embiid's not playing tonight. I will tag those with tonight's games. We will start doing those when we come back. Huge night of NBA Cup games for us.
Awesome. Giannis has been on fire, and people better start getting used to Embiid not playing.
it's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on Sports Grid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on Sports Grid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
Do you listen to
Honestly.
yourself speak? That's not a
Come
reality
on.
question. They have not played
Come
each other.
on.
You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
So many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing,
100%
Johnny.
correct.
No.
The
Stop.
only
Please stop.
the only
Let me
argument
speak.
is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line. Only on Sports Grid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on Sports Grid.
All right, Carver High, NBA Cup games tonight. Big night in the NBA.
Huge night in the NBA, and there's a lot of things at stake in a few of these games. Now, there are some that mean absolutely nothing. Like the Sixers and the Hornets, that game means absolutely nothing. Embiid is out. He's not playing. He's only played in 4 of the Sixers' 19 games so far this year. So let's just say he has not been doing much. The Sixers are 4.5-point favorites anyway on the road in Charlotte, and that's mostly because the Hornets are also a little bare in the cupboard, too, with some injuries. So 4.5 Sixers, 10.5 total.
Yeah, no LaMelo, no Embiid, no bet. I'm just not betting on this game. Like there's some sound advice for you, Sports Grid.
That is precisely what I would say as well to that. The Cavs are also... Cavs are 18-3, but they actually have no gas tonight. They've been eliminated. They can't advance in the NBA Cup, but they're home against the Wizards, who actually got through the whole month of November without winning a game. 0-14 for them in the month of November. Nice achievement, and they're getting 16.5 in Cleveland tonight, 234.5 the total.
So you're telling me that a team with one of the, if not best record in the NBA, is not in the NBA Cup. They're not going to the next round. They're done.
Correct, and that's because of the 3 losses that they have. 2 of them were in the NBA Cup games. So they're out of their group. They're
so 2 losses in group play, you're done. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? The Wizards are awful, and I still don't think the Cavs are going to cover that number tonight because I don't think they're going to try. I think they're just going to go through the motions and win the game, and they could care less about our bets or your bets, and it's a lot of points. And, I mean, the Wizards are awful. They lose every game, but, I mean, that is a lot of lumber. And, you know, if any one guy, Poole or otherwise, goes off in that game, they'll cover the number. But here's another game. It has no impact, no interest, no reason, frankly, to bet on it.
Frankly, no interest whatsoever, at least for me. Now, these next couple of games, they do have a lot of interest to them. Milwaukee is in Detroit against the Pistons. Now, first, let me give you these Giannis numbers over the last 7 games. How about 59-14, 22-15, 20-13, 41-9, 37-10, 32-11, 42-12? How's Giannis doing recently? Seems like he's feeling pretty good. A lot of dimes, too.
Yeah, I'll take him if they don't want him.
Yeah, exactly. You'll take him if you don't want him. Now, the winner of this game wins their group, which is Group B. So the winner of this will be 4-0 in Group A and will advance into the next round. The Bucks are 2.5-point favorites in Detroit against the Pistons. 220.5 is the total.
Yeah, actually, the surprise has been the Pistons. The Pistons have been the biggest surprise in the NBA Cup so far, without a doubt, right? And then people would say the Hawks, blah, 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 blah. So they haven't lost, right? So why not go for it? I'll take the Pistons tonight over the Bucks in Detroit.
The other game of significance in the East is Orlando at the Garden against the Knicks. Now, Orlando's won 12-13, and they can win Group A, as can the Knicks. They are both 3-0 in group play. The Knicks are minus 4.5 tonight. 214.5 is the total.
I think the Magic are going to beat the Knicks outright tonight at the Garden.
Yeah. And the Magic have given the Knicks problems the last couple of years, and that always factors into me as well. So the winner of this gets Group A. The winner of Detroit-Milwaukee gets Group B. Now, the wild card in the East, if Orlando loses, it will be them because they have a plus 60 point differential right now. The Celtics are not playing tonight. They would need Orlando to win and Milwaukee to win, and the Celtics can sneak in as they're done at 3-1, and their point differentials around plus 22 or 23, I think. So you're going to get into the point differential when it comes to who's going to be the fourth team in the Eastern Conference.
So you're telling me that the Cavaliers and the Celtics aren't going to be in the next round of this tournament, which is it's farcical.
If the Knicks beat the Magic are going to be the fourth team because their they won a couple blowout games. Their point differential is plus 60, so they're going to beat a team that gets the fourth seed. If the Knicks beat them tonight, it will be the Magic, unless the Knicks kill them by 30.
In Portuguese, what that means is that the NBA Cup is the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on Sports Grid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
Do you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
So many
if
teams
they
do.
Won that football. Yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, guys. No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on Sports Grid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
Carver High. We got a lot to do here. Finish up these NBA Cup games, and we got hockey, and we got college rec. I mean, it's just craziness.
All right, one last East game that doesn't matter before we get to the West, which is pretty crazy. Indiana's in Toronto against the Raptors. Indiana minus 2.5, 237.5 is the total.
So neither one are going.
Yeah, these guys are both out. Indiana and Toronto are both finished.
All right, so the Raptors had a big upset win at home the other night. They'll go back to losing tonight. And another game that I don't want to bet on based on that it doesn't matter. Like, you know, you bet on every game every night, something's wrong with you to begin with. If you're betting on games that don't matter, that's another no-no. Bet on the games that matter or that you have an opportunity to make some money on.
The Western Conference now, the Jazz are in OKC against the Thunder. Now, the Thunder can win their group with a victory and a Spur loss. We'll get to the Spurs in a moment, who control their own destiny in that group. The Thunder are minus 13.5 against the Jazz, 223.5 is the total.
Yeah, I like the Thunder at home no matter what. Like you see there, they think it's 12. You're saying it's 13. How much are they land here? 13 and a hook?
I got 13.5 at this second on the book. I have 13.5.
I mean, it's doable. It really is. They're really good, and I don't think the Jazz are.
The Grizzlies are in Dallas against the Mavs tonight. Mavs minus 4.5 is where we're at here. Now, the Mavs have a chance to move on. Nobody can jump the Mavs on record. So if the Mavs win, they will most likely make the 4 into the next round. And they also got to run the score up a little bit on the Grizzlies. They're minus 4.5 tonight, 243.5, big total.
So they have to run the score up on them. And all right, so it's a risky bet. I think the Grizzlies are live at 4 and a hook, but I'll lay it because they're at home and because they got Luka and Kyrie and their bigs are violent. I think Gabbard and that team is very violent. Washington, all of them on the boards. They're a team you can bet on. Sink your teeth into the Mavericks last year, this year.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of teams that probably finish 3-1 for that wild card spot, but the Mavs come into tonight already plus 41 in the point differential. So if they can beat the Grizzlies by a significant margin, nobody's going to be able to catch them when it comes to that for their wild card spot.
With Ja and Jackson, yeah. I think they're a good team.
If it's close and someone else gets a blowout, we could be counting points later in the night between all of these teams. Then they would. Then they would definitely be chopped, and they wouldn't be going anywhere next week. The Spurs are in Phoenix against the Suns. Spurs are win and they advance out of their group, but they're getting 7.5 in Phoenix against the Suns, 228.5 the total.
I like that 7.5 grab with Wemby and this team for sure. I think the Suns beat them by 2 or 3.
The Suns would win the group if they beat the Spurs and OKC loses to Utah. I don't think either of us think that OKC is going to lose to Utah, so the Suns are going to be in trouble no matter what happens. Golden State is already advanced. They are in Denver against the Nuggets. Nuggets minus 4.5, 236.5 the total.
I mean, it's funny. I don't know how they're advancing because what have they lost 4 in a row? I mean, they must have won all those games early because they're not playing well lately. You know, I got to tell you, I'm scared of that 4 and a hook. I mean, they're desperate to get back on track. I think they cover the number tonight in Denver.
The Rockets have also already advanced. They are in Sacramento tonight against the Kings. Kings minus 1.5, 227.5 the total.
I like the Rockets to win outright at the Golden One. I think that the Kings have been just so average. Like, it's amazing to me with the talent that they have. I actually think that they were better with Barnes on that team, with Sabonis and Fox and Monk. They're not the same team they were last year when they were, lighting the beam every night. They're not that good.
Not that good at all. And finally, we have the Blazers, who are in Los Angeles against the Clippers. Now, believe it or not, the Blazers still have several scenarios that might be able to get them into the knockout round, but they would have to beat the Clippers by a lot and also have a couple of other teams lose. So that's very difficult to ask here, especially since they're 8.5-point dogs to the Clips, 220.5 the total.
Yeah, and Harden's playing really well. He's lighting it up. I think the Clippers win this game by 10.
Yeah, I think they win the game as well and probably cover. We'll see if Portland gives any effort tonight, although they are alive somehow, 2-1 in group play to move on in the NBA Cup. So you're going to get a lot of teams looking to run up the score tonight, potentially, Scotty. So keep that in mind with these games. You might see stars stay in blowouts. They might be looking. We saw this last year.
Plans.
Best laid plans. We shall see how it goes tonight. Hockey.
Everybody loves hockey.
Now we'll get the hockey in. Devils beat the Rangers 5-1 last night. Gutless effort by the Rangers at home at the Garden. Jack Hughes had a huge night for the Devils. Leafs beat the Blackhawks 4-1. Dallas beat Utah 2-1. Lots of games tonight.
How about that Dallas game? Did I tell you that I said bet the money line? They will not win that game by more than a goal, and they didn't. And we laid the puck line on the Leafs and hit that. The only game we got wrong was the Devils. The Rangers have lost 6 of 7. They suck right now.
They do. There are 10 games tonight in hockey. Let's ride. Detroit is in Boston against the Bruins. Colorado is in Buffalo against the Sabres. And the Islanders are in Montreal against the Canadiens tonight. I mean, the Isles is a road favorite. Get serious. Give me Montreal.
Yeah, I think the Canadiens stink. I'll take the Islanders. I'm going to go upset with the Sabres over the Avs in Buffalo. They're 500. They're not that bad. And I think, I barely trust that Boston Bruin team. I got to be honest with you. Give me a goal and a half with Detroit on the puck line. I don't care what I got to pay. I think Detroit might beat them outright.
Hockey night at the PPG is the Panthers. The Stanley Cup champion Panthers are in town against the Penguins. San Jose is in Washington against the Caps. Seattle in Carolina. Long trip for them.
Ducks on a pond here. Chalk, Panthers, Caps, Canes. The Penguins cannot beat a good team, okay? They only beat crappy teams, and they're not beating the Stanley Cup champs. I don't care where the game is.
Vancouver's in Minnesota tonight. St. Louis is in Ferrellapeg. Columbus and Calgary, and the Oilers are in Vegas on the Strip against the Knights. Best game of the night.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go rogue with Vancouver in St. Paul at the XL. I like the Jets at home. I like the Flames, who play really well at Saddle Dome. And, the Oilers have one of the best road records, and Vegas has one of the best home records. So I'm going to take Vegas tonight over Connor McDavid and the Oilers in Sin City on the Strip at T-Mobile.
There you go. Hockey.
Everybody loves hockey.
For this. Everybody does love hockey. All right. We have a lot of college rack tonight. You're going to talk to Coach about a bunch of these games, no matter which ones you hit with them or not. In fact, I'll start you here, and then we'll clean up the rest after you talk to Coach. SEC, ACC, 10 games tonight in the ACC SEC Challenge. Here we go. Notre Dame and Georgia, Arkansas and Miami, Cal and Missouri, South Carolina, Boston College, Syracuse, Tennessee, the first rack of games.
Well, I like Georgia at home in Athens. I think Arkansas can beat Miami. I've seen them. They don't look good. Missouri should handle their business in Columbia. I'll take a stab with Boston College and Chestnut Hill and Tennessee at home. I think they cover that number. I think Syracuse stinks.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on Sports Grid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly,
you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
So many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, guys.
correct.
No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on Sports Grid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
Always good to have Coach James Young on, our Sports Grid basketball analyst extraordinaire, one of the greatest coaches in the country for youth basketball players, rising stars, incredible D1 talents across the board, a badass, a friend of mine. Check out his podcast, Betting Above the Rim, as we talk rack with him as often as possible on Coast to Coast. Coach, good to see you, my friend. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I wanted to say, earlier I talked about LeBron shooting bricks. Like last night, he missed the three so bad, it hit the left corner of the glass on the bottom of the backboard. And I mean, people were ducking for cover. And I've always said, it's simple. If you're not shooting well, it's a game of shooting well. And if you're not shooting well and you're 6'8", 260, go to the 10 Jerome. I mean, what is he doing? He pulls up from 30 every night now and shoots these bricks. Why isn't he just attacking the rim? There's no one that can stop him with either a layup or a dunk.
Pharrell, Father Time may have caught up. I mean, let's be honest, because that's what I would think. You know, I've always said as a coach, if you're struggling to shoot the ball from deep, like what do? You drive the ball to the basket, you get yourself to the foul line, right? And you get yourself going, right? Especially someone as big as LeBron. Unless you can't. And I think that's what I saw an interesting clip they showed of LeBron a couple of games ago, or maybe last game, where he showed very little effort defensively, then he walked offensively and didn't show effort in the next defensive possession. It was very unlike LeBron James. But if you really think about it, Pharrell, think about like the father time guys of the guards, right? Like Jordan and Kobe. When they got older, they didn't drive it to the 10. They just became really good shooters, especially from the mid-range. LeBron's never been a shooter, Pharrell. So at the point now in his career, at almost 40 years old, if he can't knock down shots consistently, he doesn't have the lift consistently to go to the 10. Now, does that mean he can't and he won't? No. I'm just saying he's got to pick his spots, Pharrell, because Father Time has called to LeBron, especially on back-to-back nights.
So I saw a stat just a few minutes ago where J.J. Redick has the same record as Darvin Hab had after 21 games. Same record. But he comes across as this new, sophisticated, tough guy coach, players coach, hard on players because he played. And I saw him dance around that subject. Should he play back-to-back nights? Should he play 82 games? He was such a P. He wouldn't answer that question because he's afraid of LeBron and his relationship with him. The facts are, is that they don't want him playing every night. And he wants to play every night. He's going to do whatever he wants, and he's going to get away with it.
If you really think about it, Pharrell, when the Lakers started off 3-0, right? They beat Minnesota opening night, which is a team that's still trying to figure it out, right? They had the good win versus Phoenix, and they had a win against Sacramento. Well, Sacramento has underachieved tremendously. But if you start looking at games, Pharrell, against good teams, right? At Phoenix, loss. At Cleveland, loss. At Memphis, loss. I'm not counting a win versus Philadelphia because they weren't even whole. Memphis already had injuries. I'm not counting San Antonio. That's a tight game. Versus Orlando, home, loss. Versus Denver, home, loss. At Phoenix, loss, right? Versus Oklahoma City, loss. Lost by 29 last night to Minnesota. Pharrell, if you dig deeper into these games, where are the good wins? If you take away the first 2 or 3 games, Pharrell, they don't have a good win the whole year. So they are what we thought they were, which is an average team relying on a 39 to 40-year-old player. Anthony Davis has been Anthony Davis, but listen, at the end of the day, D'Angelo Russell, still a pumpkin. Rui Hachimura can't get it together all the time. Jackson Hayes, Jackson who? Max Christie, might as well be Agatha Christie, right? Cam Reddish, who's that guy? So at the end of the day, like, who they got? Who they got? They got nobody. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, listen, Pharrell, let's
all right. So we got to hit your plays. You got a lot of picks tonight. Let's do your pros first. Agatha Christie, Murder She Wrote. Here we go.
Well,
can we get your NBA plays tonight?
Yeah, I got a bunch of plays. First up, I'm going to go Philadelphia minus the points, minus 4.5. Listen, I look at the spot tonight. I got Charlotte. There's so many guys banged up for Charlotte. I'm going to go ahead and take Philadelphia minus the 4.5. Knicks minus 4.5. This is going to be a great game, folks. Group A winner comes out of this game between them and Charlotte.
Good luck with that
them
one.
Orlando. Here's why. Listen, it's going to be a street fight. But that comment that Brunson said about wanting to win this for those two-way guys, give them the $500,000 check, keeps sticking in my head.
That ain't going to
like
stop Franz Wagner. That comment ain't going to stop that team. They won 12 or 13. They've always been a thorn in their side. All right, what else?
Yeah, I also like Denver's got – Golden State has nothing to play for. They've already clinched, right? This Denver is getting more whole. I do think Aaron Gordon's back tonight. Give me minus 5 for the Nuggets. Kelly Oubre over 11.5 points. Guard against his whole team. He's a scorer. No Embiid. He should be the third option. Lastly, Tyrese Halliburton over 26.5 points plus assists. Let's simply put, they go how he goes. They should want to push the pace. And then you look at the Raptors, they don't have strong defenders in the backcourt.
Let's go to the college rack.
Pharrell, I'm crazy. I'm taking Villanova plus the points tonight. And you know what that means. When I take a plus the points, they're probably not going to win. But I'm still taking them at home because I think Cincinnati's overrated. Dayton minus 24.5 versus Western Michigan. Western Michigan, last time they played anybody good was Butler. They lost by 20. Wisconsin on the money line home versus Michigan. Simply put, close game, take the home team. Arkansas minus the points versus Miami. The U has been terrible. Lost 4 games in a row. Tennessee minus 20.5. The top scorer for Syracuse is out. It only moved a point. Give me the Vols minus the point.
I like all of those except Nova, but I'm down with every other play. I'm not down with the Knicks. I'm worried about this team is on fire. It is amazing to me that they have won without Banchero. The way they've won 12 of 13 is crazy. I wish I had more time to talk rack with you. We'll do it next time, though, Coach. Thanks, brother. Good to see you.
Agatha.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on Sports Grid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly,
you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing,
correct.
No.
The
Stop.
only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on Sports Grid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
Leftovers time, Carver High. You got some stragglers in college rack to hit.
I do. We have a lot of games to get to here. Here's the rest of the SEC, ACC games for tonight. Georgia Tech visits Oklahoma in Norman. Wake Forest is at Texas A&M. Ole Miss and Louisville. Here we go. The unranked team favored over the ranked team. I always love those. LSU and Florida State. And then Kentucky favored on the road at Clemson.
All right, look, I think Oklahoma's played really well. Georgia Tech's in trouble there tonight in Norman. I like the Aggies at home. I like Louisville at home at the Yum. I like LSU in Baton Rouge. And I'm taking a stab at Little John with Clemson over Kentucky with defense.
Next. Big 12 and Big East are going to play over the next few days. Few games tonight. Cincinnati visiting Villanova. BYU visiting the Dunk in Providence. And the Big Ten has some early conference play over the next week. Michigan at Wisconsin. Northwestern at Iowa. Washington at UCLA.
All right, so I like Cincinnati to win in Philly tonight over Villanova. They're flat out better. I thought Providence looked weak against Indiana. I like BYU there, Wisconsin, Iowa, and I think that number's too high for UCLA to cover that wood against Washington in Pauley, believe it or not. I think the women's team's better than the men's team.
That's probably very true. So lots of good college basketball. And you mentioned earlier, tomorrow, huge night. That Duke-Auburn game is tomorrow. Alabama-North Carolina. Baylor-UConn. Just a tremendous night of college hoops. We'll do all of that tomorrow on Coast to Coast. All right, some baseball notes for you. First, Red Sox signed Aroldis Chapman today. 1-year deal worth $10.75 million. The Mets side Frankie Montas, 2 years worth $34. He stinks. The Mets are allegedly among a few teams that are interested in signing Clay Holmes and making him a starting pitcher. Okay.
Until they move him to the bullpen after 5 starts.
He stinks. And I have one more for you because this came down this afternoon as well. This Rob Manfred story is something else. He says that there is buzz around about adding the, quote, golden at-bat rule to Major League Baseball. This rule would allow a team to choose one at-bat in every game to use their best hitter regardless of where they're at in the lineup. Please tell me that this is a
next? Here's what's
just...
next. You're going to make every team play the bananas once. I mean, what is next
with
this guy? And he's leaving.
Nonsense.
So he's doing all these bizarre things which make absolutely no sense. That may be the worst idea I've ever heard in baseball, this ridiculous golden bat rule. Ferrella finish time. Florida police launch an investigation after a severed head, a human head, washes ashore in Miami Beach. That is awesome. Amityville Horror House may still be haunted 50 years after the shocking real-life murders on Strong Island. Now, there's something I can sink my teeth into. Of course, the house is still haunted. Would you sleep in that house even one night at the Amityville Horror House? Who in their right mind would sleep there? I don't care if you do one of those, like, scary shows or not on TV where you're a ghost hunter or whatever the hell they call them. Missouri teen dies after her mom allegedly gave her a lethal fentanyl pill to handle her toothache. She did say, however, later in court, quote, "This shouldn't have happened," end quote. Gee, you think? Missing man found dead at a Planet Fitness in the tanning bed 3 days after he checked into the Indianapolis gym for a quick workout and a 10-minute Jimmy in the suntan booth. Your boy, they found him 3 days later when they smelled something coming nefariously from the back of the operation. Florida mom sets up a sting operation at a local Popeyes to catch an alleged predator who was sexting her 13-year-old daughter. Now, I just want to know if anyone actually ordered the Cajun turkey that they were doling out during the holidays. I'm a big fan of Popeye's spicy chicken sandwich, I have to say. I tried to lure 34C into getting the Cajun turkey, but she was having none of it. GTD is next. Check out my app. Just search Pharrell. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on Sports.